So continuing with Vicinity Cluster from Pierce Anthony, Chapter 1, Flint of Outworld. The old man and the young man lay in the cool of pre-dawn, looking up at the stars. The old man wore a ragged tunic. Under it his skin was an off shade of white. The young man was naked and was a delicate green all over. He was large and muscular, even for Outworld. Can you see Arcturus, boy? The old man asked. Yes, Shaman, Flint said, with good-natured respect. He was no longer a boy, but he made allowances for the old man's failing vision. If there was one thing the wise shaman had taught him, and indeed there were very many things, it was not to take offense irresponsibly. Shining is always about their third magnitude. Oh, and Vega. Yes, fourth magnitude. Each distinction of magnitude meant a star was about 2.5 times as bright, or dim, dim. It seemed to help the shaman to be reminded that Vega was dimmer than Arcturus. So Flint always repeated the information. Look, we're not getting old. We are growing. This is my addition. Anywho. On cloudy nights, these magnitudes changed. If the stars were visible at all, I've actually seen this myself as well, because they're doing some stuff with the clouds. I mean, come on. This is storytelling time, so we're not going to get into politics or any of that stuff. He could have called them out from memory, but the shaman had also taught him never to lie unnecessarily. A pause, then. Sirius? Sorry. Fainter, fifth magnitude. And Sol? The old man's voice quavered. No, too faint. Use the glass, boy, the shaman said. Flint raised the small old telescope, a relic of the first colony ship that had brought his ancestors over a century ago. He oriented on faint Sirius, then slid towards nearby. Hang on, I don't know what that is. I can't remember because I read this a long time ago. I was in my 20s. Actually, yeah, I was in my early 20s. Hang on a minute. Wait. Then slid towards the nearby region where Sol was to be found. The instrument magnified 10 times, which meant that the stars of up to 8.5 magnitude should be visible. But magnification was not enough. The scope did not fetch in sufficient light to provide proper clarity at night. So Sol, magnitude 7.5. Oh, they added and a half. Was a difficult identification, even for Flint's sharp eye. For the half-blind shaman, it was incredibly impossible. Now Flint was tempted to lie, knowing how important it was to the old man to spot Sol. Now Sol is our son. We know this. Okay, anyone that's paid attention from even the introduction of the book, we know what Sol is. It is our, well, it's one of our sons. I have a strong feeling, because I've seen it, that we actually have two sons. So, this is not in the book. This is what I have seen with my own eyes. I didn't have a camera available at the time, which is kind of a bit sad, but you know, I was driving at the time, not drunk. Driving, not drunk. Difference. So, Sol. But magnification was not enough. The scope did not fetch in sufficient light to provide proper clarity at night. So Sol, magnitude 7.5, was a difficult identification, even for Flint's sharp eye. Okay, I did step back a bit. However, this night and every night of the season, it was the night sky. So Flint was tempted to lie. I already said that. Knowing how important it was for the old man to spot Sol, even second hand. But the shaman had an uncanny knack for spotting that sort of thing. So if you try and lie to someone, even if they don't have physical vision, they'll know you're mucking about with them. You know, got to look at all this stuff. Right. So don't lie to anyone, basically. It will give you like a load of crap in your life. Trust me. Then, faintly, he saw it. Twin stars, Sol and Toliman. He cried exuberantly. Sol and Toliman? The shaman echoed. The words were like a prayer of thanksgiving. Flint set down the telescope, the ritual, and then honored. They had seen Sol tonight. There was still an hour until dawn, and the shaman made no move to raise the walk down the mountain. Flint had to do, sorry, hang on. Flint had work to do, sorry. He had learned not to hustle the old man. The shaman had never quite acclimatized to the 15-hour days of Outworld. He would sleep one full night, 7.5 hours, then stay up a day and a night, 15 hours straight, then nap in the daytime. Come on, we all do naps. He had, he said, been born to a 24-hour cycle, 8 hours sleep and 16 awake, and this was as close as he could make it on Outworld. By the way, if you can hear strange noises in the background, that's my rabbits doing a marathon in their cage, because they do this early in the morning. So it is kind of funny, but I will do a video. This camera is really terrible. When I've got a better camera, I'm going to show you my little friends. Okay? You might meet my friends that live in the walls. They're really respectful, by the. So I want to go off topic here for a little bit. So, I mean, anyone that actually knows anything about my life, slightly, and it's not really that important, but you know when when you've had your house stolen and then you've been put into it's kind of a little box which does work, and you're alone. It's literally, you're alone. And then you have this little creature that comes through the walls and says, "Hello, I'd like some food," but doesn't actually steal any of your food. This little creature and does not come into my main living area. It will only take the food that I give it in the kitchen area. It's fascinating. So we need to learn a lot from these little creatures, right? This book is kind of about that as well, amongst many others. But I want to talk about this. And I know there's going to be people going, "Ew, you're letting vermin in your house." No, they're not vermin. I'll tell you why they're not vermin. If they were vermin, they would have broken in, taken everything I had. That, my dears, is something that starts with a G and ends with a T. I think you know where I'm going. These little creatures have got so much respect. They don't come and steal any of the feed that I've got for my rabbits. Nothing like that. The only thing they've ever taken is a plum and a parsnip. Other than that, they've only ever taken what I have given them. There is no poo, no pee, nothing of that kind going on. Don't come into my main living area. They live in the walls. Oh, and here it comes. So, they live in the walls, and we've got very, very old buildings from 1266, I might add. So, these little creatures have been living in these walls for centuries. They're not stupid. They know how to get along with us lot. They're like the borrowers. And if anyone knows what the borrowers are, they're fascinating. It's a really good story. And they're basically little people. They're like us, but really, really small. But these chaps are like the borrowers because they don't actually take anything more than they need. They're not greedy. They don't lie. They don't shit on your doorstep. They don't piss anywhere in your house. So, this is very important to look at this stuff. People go, "Ew, mice and rats and all that. Oh, they're vermin." Well, actually, they're not. So, if they were vermin, why do they have a job to do? Because just like wasps and many, many other creatures, they come along and they clean up after us. Crows, ravens, and you've got the carrion birds, no? I've got loads of them here in this country too. And then you've got owls. Funny thing, when I drive at night, there seems to always be an owl. These are barn owls, by the way. So they have a white underbelly. Absolutely stunning. All throughout my years of driving, there has always been an owl that I meet when I'm driving late at night. Forgive me. I feel that they are part of the Earth Angel families because I've always gotten home when I've seen an owl. So, an owl is a good omen. So are spiders, by the way. So, don't ignore your spiders, right? Because what spiders do, they get rid of excess flies and other insects, right? These are all caretakers of the smaller parts of our world that we cannot take care of because we are much bigger than them. They really know how to clean up all those tiny corners of our lives. We should have a lot of respect for these creatures. And they also show us a lot of patience. That's what I've learned from them through the years. Anywho. Well, anyway, who cares to go listen? Here we go. I shall find my spot. So, the instrument magnified 10 times, which meant that stars, I mean, we're back to vicinity cluster, which meant that the stars of up to 8.5, I mean, come on, 8.5 magnitude should be visible, but magnification was not enough. The scope did not fetch the magnitude 7.5. Was it a difficult identification? Even for Flint's sharp eye, for the half-blind shaman, it was impossible. Now, Flint was tempted to lie. You know, that's what young dudes do. Some young girls too. Knowing how important it was to the old man to spot Sol, even secondhand, this night and every night of the season, it was in the night sky. But Shaman had an uncanny knack of spotting that sort of thing. Hey, what? How you doing? Big up. Nice to see you. Now, Flint, Flint was he was trying to lie, but it doesn't really work when you've got someone that might not have good vision, but certainly has a higher connection to what's going on. Then, faintly, he saw twin stars, Sol and Toliman. He cried exuberantly. I know I read this already, but we have to backstep sometime. Sol and Toliman, the shaman echoed. The words were like a prayer of thanksgiving. Flint set down the telescope. The ritual had been honored. They had seen Sol tonight. There was still an hour until dawn, and the shaman made no move to rise for the walk down the mountain. Flint had work to do, as Flint should do. Oh, I've just lost my freaking line in the page. Oh, good lord. I mean, come on, give me a break. It's like, what is it? Wait. Yeah, so it's 7 minutes past 4 in the morning on Scotland. So, thank you for listening, and I appreciate your patience. But no, these really, really good stories, and I will get through it. And you just wait until the God Whale, because that is some story. Ooh. So he set down the telescope, and they've done their ritual and honoured it. They'd seen Sol, but there was still an hour till dawn, and the shaman made no move to rise, for there was a walk down the mountain. Flint had work to do, but he had learned not to hustle the old man. the shaman had never quite ex- acclimatized. Oh, good lord. To the 15-hour days of Outworld. Now, I mean, look, this is about other worlds as well as our world, okay? And I mean, who knows? Great story though. I mean, who knows what is real and what isn't real, if that makes any sense? Because life is a fascinating journey from what I've seen, and not just this one. He would sleep one full night, 7.5 hours, then stay up a day and night, 15 hours straight, then nap in the daytime. He had, he said, been born to a 24-hour cycle, 8 hours of sleep, 16 hours awake, and this was as close as he could make it on Outworld. Hmm. Flint had once tried to duplicate that odd rhythm, but it had made him irritable, muddle minded. No one could adopt shaman ways except the shaman. Sometimes the shaman liked to talk a bit as he neared the end of his day night vigil. Flint pretended to the other tribesmen that he merely humoured the old fogey. But the truth was that the shaman's words were almost always fraught with meaning and unexpected revelations. He had taught Flint amazing things, and some of the best had been almost by accident. If you look into your life on your path, you're going to find that some of the best lessons would seem like an accident. Trust me, I've had it. Shaman, if I may ask. Ask, boy, the man replied immediately, and Flint knew that this was indeed a talking night. Perhaps it would make his early awakening worthwhile, apart from the necessity of helping the old man up the steep hill. What was it like on Sol? Not Sol, Flint. Earth. Sol is the star. Earth is the planet. Just as Etamin is the star here and Outworld the planet. A small star Sol and a small planet. 'Tis true. But the home of all men and still lord of all Sol's sphere. Flint knew. Etamin was 100 times as brilliant as Sol, and Outworld twice Earth's mass. That was why Outworld, though 10 times as far from its star as Earth was from Sol, had a similar climate, lower density, heavier atmosphere, and faster rotation brought the surface gravity down to within 10% of Earth's, effectively. So man had been able to colonize and survive here. Of course, Outworld's year was 30 times as long. Go figure. But what the shaman called a severe processional wobble provided seasonal similars to Earth's. All this was but a faction of the knowledge of the shaman that had dispensed in the course of prior conversations. The tribesmen hardly cared, as long as hunting was good, etc., etc. But Flint was fascinated and always wanted to comprehend more. And why wouldn't you want to comprehend more? You would. Life is a learning, I say, not in the book. Earth, of course, Flint said. But the planet, was it like this? With rains and veins and dinosaurs? The shaman laughed. But I had to stop when it triggered off his cough. He's an old git. I'm an old git too, so I get it. Yes and no, he gasped after a bit. Rains, yes. Ever few days in some sections, but no veins. No such, as you mean. None you could really climb on. Dinosaurs, not today. Only long ago. 100 million years ago. Only birds and mammals and fish and a few small reptiles, and not many wild animals. Well, we know. Earth is crowded, boy. More crowded than you can imagine. That's not actually true, by the way. So I don't agree with everything that is written here, because Earth is not crowded. Earth is badly managed. And this is from my perspective, not from any book. There are many free regions in our world, beautiful, lush, some of the best vegetation that will feed you well, and you don't need to eat too many animals. But there will, if you do eat them, they will be very healthy because they will not be farmed. Everything we buy in our supermarkets is compromised, shall we say. Anyway, but the planet, was it like this? With rains and veins and dinosaurs, la la la? Yes and no, he gasped after a bit. Rains, yes. A few days in some sections, no veins. Not so much as you mean no. No, you couldn't really climb on dinosaurs? No, not today. Only long ago. 100 million years ago. Only birds and mammals and fish and a few small reptiles and not many wild animals. With the human species overrunning the last wilderness, I don't believe that. Uh, I think this, I mean, I really strongly feel that he was writing from a different time perspective. If we continue like this, yeah, then maybe. Because we're not strip mining our own planet. Something else is strip mining our world. And that is not in the book. Earth is crowded, boy. Okay, from the book. More crowded than you can imagine. Hundreds, thousands of people per square mile. Even more. Flint had heard this before, too. But he allowed for exaggeration. Remember exaggeration? There we are. It would be impossible for the land to support more than 10 or 15 people per square mile. Well, that's actually not true. So, if you look at land management, we can actually support like billions more. So, if we're not all truckatarians, which I get, I'm a truckatarian. I do go and buy from the supermarket, so I'm not, I'm not being a hypocrite here. But we can manage this so well that there could be multiples of tens of billions living comfortably with all the animals and the greenery and everything, insects, everything in the ocean. It is poor management, I say, that has been going on this world for quite some centuries, shall we say. I can't really find the right numbers because, Who knows? What is time anyway? Is it an actual thing or is it just a. I think it's just perspective. But I think these books, what I found is they showed me something long before I actually started looking at population count, shall we say. I was a lot younger when I read these books, but they did teach me, well, they certainly taught me that our population count is not necessarily as true as they might like to say. But it also taught me a lot about my own spirit. And I think this is really important. When we look at our own spirit, because this is what these stories are about. When you look at your own spirit, this is not religious, by the way, so it doesn't matter. For those that don't want to listen, fine, go away. It's obviously not good for you. But for those that do want to listen, first comes consciousness with our spirit. That is what consciousness is. Without your spirit, you would not be having a physical experience, my darlings. Okay? Life is a story. We all have our own stories. And if we do not concentrate on our own spirit fundamentally, we are never going to be able. This is from my own experience. So this is not from any book, anything of that kind. If we cannot recognize our spiritual strength, our own strength of who we actually are, then we're going to have a problem connecting with everything around us. Okay? It doesn't matter whether you want a partner or want to be single or you want to go and buy something from your local shop, or you want to learn more about what aspect of nature you are. I am. Yourself, I mean. Yourself, your spirit, your consciousness. Without your consciousness, you wouldn't be here. None of us. Right? And obviously, we have our portal, which is our mother and father. They're our portal. But the realization, and this is what Rudolf Steiner taught me, I'm always going to be talking about this. Sorry, guys and girls. What Steiner taught me is that connection that we have. It's not easy to put into words, but it's the creativity that you have with your hands, your mind, your brain. Your mind, the mind is something we all share. So our mind is everything, even the animals, the trees, everything. The freaking mushrooms, mycelium in the ground, everything. The rocks, the water. That is mind. That is the interface from our spirits, our spirit, should I say, to the physical world. That's what I've found. Don't know about anyone else, but that's the connection that I found. And so when you look at nature, that is, people go, ooh, nature imitating art. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. It's the other way around. Art imitates nature. Always. I promise you. Why would nature imitate art? That's complete nonsense, right? It's nonsense. The whole point of art imitating nature is that we are remembering that we are that nature, right? It doesn't matter whether whatever religion you believe in, that's irrelevant. The spirit knows it is art. The spirit is art. It does this. This is what Steiner teaches. It knows all the geometric shapes, and when you look at nature, it is geometry. I mean, it's just perfect. Nature is perfect, and the reason nature is perfect is because it's pure consciousness. It hasn't been corrupted. You look at a plant, a flower, even a stone that's been rolled around in the ocean. It's perfect. And it still shows its beauty from that original whatever it was. Right? Because I mean we don't really know what stones are. Okay? And I do like Mud Fossil University. I have a lot of respect for that guy. I don't know. Some people think, yeah, he's a bit kooky. He's not. He's not kooky. Because there's a lot of visible and even genetic evidence to show that our world is made of giants. On that note, my darlings, I think Vicinity Cluster will continue another day, night, whatever time it is for you. And I love you all, and I thank you so much if you listen. Thank you.